Anyway, the show starts off with Shoot befriending the civil protection robot Captain Gundam, who works with the superior dimensional. Wait a second. This show is already called Superior Defender. You can't change the meaning of the SD like that in the show itself. Sheesh. Although it is Super Dimensional Guard, not just SD, it's SDG. Anyway, Captain Gundam starts off with a personality as bland as robots get. Reminds me of a certain blue robot that looks like a Cyberman, I know. However, with Shoot's persistence, Captain's personality randomly takes a great developmental leap in just a couple of episodes. Granted, he remains a naive robot stereotype that doesn't know much about things that make humans human for a long time. If it weren't for the fact that his soul drive requires Shoot to cheer him on, Shoot would probably be more useless in the first season than the average Transformers human sidekick. Though he does know how to repair robots, much like Sparkplug or Witwicky or Connor from Cubics, but this talent is severely underutilized even more than the other two cases. When Shoot met Captain for the second time, it was almost exactly like Connor and Cubics, too, except Captain wasn't nearly as bad off.
Captain Soul Drive is basically a powered-up version of a gun soul, much like a Transformer Spark, or at least the ones I've seen in Beast Wars. Except robots are apparently also like humans in this show, living as equals and all, even being able to eat human food. Though how they eat, especially with face plates on, is beyond me. Zero in particular is rather fond of cake, much to Shoot's dismay, and Baka Netsumaru loves rice balls.
The dub actually has rice balls. Take that, 4 kids in your donut sandwiches and dual fuel. Anyway, Zero and Bakunetsu Maru are also introduced along the way, as well as the Dark Axis trio. Zero and Bakunetsu Maru are hilarious, and the two also have more character to them due to their history being stuck in Neotopia and not knowing how to save their own world. It's kinda deep stuff. Zero thinks he's not ready, whereas Bakunetsu Maru just wants to rush right back home and beat up the Dark Axis invasion force. In fact, he nearly succeeds doing so in his debut episode. Why can't Zero use that thing to fly higher again?
Well, Zero's flamboyance and Baku's hot-headedness leads to some seriously amusing character interactions between the two. Well, because Zero's attack being similar to the Rose Hurricane, the two of them kind of remind me of George the Sand and Domo. Their common goal of wanting to save their homeworld also leads to some really good character interaction and teamwork development, with Baku Netsumaru initially assuming that Zero didn't even care about saving the Croa. Also, the way Shoot tries to intervene and Captain just stands there watching their squabbles sometimes is hilarious in its own right. As far as the Dark Axis trio, they're not exactly a huge threat. The Dark Axis travels between dimensions using the Zakarella Gate, which looks nothing like the mecha it's based on. Then again, Zero and Baku don't really resemble Wing or Shining Gundam that much either, though apparently Shining Gundam is based on the appearance of a samurai somehow. They also don't seem to like organic matter and use these tiny little insects called bagu bagu, which are apparently larger in the Croa, to turn all organic material to stone.
And that's stone, not metal. There's no connection to the key of Vector Sigma. I think their name literally means bugs.
Another thing really makes the Dark Axis actually dangerous early on are these control horns, which they use on various robots to take control of them.
The robots effectively fill a Monster of the Week role most of the time, with most episodes' cold opening being almost exactly like those of Cubic Solix episodes, where Transformers animated its Allspark Fragment episodes as a result.
Obviously, the main difference being is that the machines going berserk is intended, and they are actually under a certain degree of control. The Dark Axis trio are the main villains initially, but it's impossible to take them seriously, and they lose rather easily. Though the official manga reveals another side to Zapperzaku. There's a link in the video with scanned translations in the description when you're not watching this one on YouTube.
However, on episode 11, Bellwood is finishing repairs on the dimensional transfer device which Baku Netsumaru damaged in his debut, but get pulled into another universe by some unknown force, specifically to Lacroix. There, the heroes face off against their first real enemy, Tall Geese.
For I am Tall Geese, Knight of the Tempest. Gaze on my magnificence and despair!
Tall Geese? That's a funky name.
What did you say?
You're all going to get knocked down a very deep hole after completely failing to defeat him in the next episode. Tall Geese was already a force to be reckoned with, but is also able to merge with one of the legendary beasts of Lacroix, the Griffin or something like that, to become even stronger, and as I said, managed to temporarily defeat our heroes in a trio of kids who are protecting some vaguely defined MacGuffin, which is to be used with another vaguely defined MacGuffin that we never actually see.
Great continuity!
Tall Geese's cannon fodder are the Ponleos, who keep the original Night Gundam naming style. They have these things that make them invisible, and apparently they're really enchanted dice? What? Pawn? Dice? Robot? Logic? Feeling?
After defeating Tall Geese, they retrieve the vaguely defined MacGuffin and get sent back home by...
Spoilers! This first vaguely defined MacGuffin is the Spirit Egg, an egg MacGuffin which will somehow hatch into the savior of Lacroix, which apparently is this fire-breathing fuzzball, a baby feather dragon named Fan.
The Dark Axis gets some new flying equipment since Zero can't fly that high. How does that make any sense? It's not enough magic. Anyway, Gun Eagle, who's based on the new Gundam, gets introduced. You gotta love the Dark Axis joke referring to that.
Who is that guy? You think it's possible that this guy is a new Gundam?
Anyway, Gun Eagle's debut is closely followed by the Gundivers, based on the refined Gundam Zeta, who, as the name suggests, are for water-based missions, as none of the other Gundams can actually swim. Much like the Regi Z can turn into a wave rider, they can transform into submarine.
And in spite of the new team additions, they actually do have vehicles which work in the air and underwater, more noticeably of which is a submersible custom ball designed for underwater missions. I'm going to call it Submarine Ball because it's never actually named. Amusingly, the Dark Axis trio and the Zako soldiers also get respective new gear in the same episodes as these characters debut. Funny how that works.
Ashura Maru, an old rival of Baku Netsumaru's, shows up and proves to be a challenge for him. Captain Gundam, seeing that Baku's chances of winning are slim, steps in and gets critically injured because he was in civilian mode. Shoot also interferes, and Ashura Maru says he'll return to fight when there's no more interruptions.
This leads to an entire half an episode being character development, mostly based on how Baku Netsumaru is handling the injuries. Thankfully, they had conveniently introduced Gun Eagle and Gun Diver just a couple episodes back. Also, Zero and Gun Bike are fine as well. However, even though they aren't able to properly fend off the Dark Axis, so Chihiro launches his personal gun parry. However, this turned out to be a ruse as, Cobra What? No! That name! Just freaking how uninspired can you even get? Hey boss, I have an idea for one of the characters in that new Gundam anime. We'll base him on the Neo-Indian Cobra Gundam. Make him a ninja samurai hyper, just like all of the other G Gundam mobile suits, and call him Cobra Maru. But boss, we already have like 10 other Musha Gundams planned with Maru in their name. Can't we just... No! Hold it! Hi everyone, this is Mattwo Storywriter, and I'm sorry to say that I have to cancel the rest of this review. Unfortunately, because this is a huge project and I'm just not cut out for doing this kind of thing, I have to grab resources from each episode and directly clip specific parts of them, and it's too much work. I mean, one of the more important reasons that I'm canceling this next part and the rest of the review is that, well, it's kind of spoiler heavy. I'm trying to get people interested in watching the show, so it's just not a good idea to have so many huge spoilers, especially near the end of the review, where there are huge spoilers that you should really watch this show and see for yourself. It's kind of a big deal. Of course, it doesn't make much sense until a bit later in the season 2, but it's a good show. People don't like it for the wrong reason, and that's just not okay. I mean, yes, the animation is barely high quality, but other than that, it's a show worth watching, regardless if they have super deformed Gundams or not. I mean, they're not even that small. They're like human size, human child maybe, but it's you should watch the show, and I'm sorry I have to cancel the rest of the review, but at least I can move on to other things now, because I've been putting off a lot of stuff for working on this review, and I wind up procrastinating, and I'm just not up to doing the rest. I am so sorry. Now, this by no means that I'm going to be not doing any reviews anymore. No, I'm still going to be doing reviews, but I'm not going to try to review entire seasons or entire series, except for, serials where barely anything happens, like the Doctor Who ones, or older stuff that might, be drawn out more often, because that seems to be what happens in older television shows. I mean, Go Ranger, the original Super Sentai, was like, I hear it was over 100 episodes or something. I'm just like, whoa, that's like twice as much as the usual Super Sentai or Kamen Rider, and it's just, yeah, so those shows I'll probably be able to cover a lot of at once, but as for newer TV shows, yeah, I think I'm going to stick to single episodes at a time, so also, I'll still be giving my rating and putting the credits at the end of this video, so for the rating, top-notch humor, knows when to take things seriously, and generally all-around entertaining. I have to give SD Gundam first season, 8 out of 10. Now remember, I'm not really good with rating systems, your opinion may differ, and my honorary Don't Judge a Book by Its Cover award. Until next time, I'm Mattwo Storywriter, and stay tuned for the future of the Dark Axis.